Can you believe it? 6 months from yesterday to the day is Election Day 2024. I know most Americans are just kind of dreading it. It's like, here we go again, 2.0, rematch, repeat of 2020. And I totally understand those sentiments. No matter how you feel, it doesn't matter what side of the political aisle you're on. I think that that is what makes this a very unique election year and one that we've never really experienced because we've done it before. We did it literally 4 years ago. And now we're set to do it again with the same two options. And elections are binary choices. So like it or not, there's this belief that if Joe Biden wins, it's going to be because people really love Joe. Or if Trump wins, it's going to be because, well, Trump is just the man. I mean, MAGA is 80 million strong, and that's just not the case. America's more complex than many on either side care to admit. Many people are going to vote for one of these two candidates simply because they think the other option is insufficient, not because they love the option they're voting for. That's how it works in politics. I mean, you got binary choices here. So you've got this new ABC News poll that dropped yesterday, and it basically shows a dead heat. There's good in this for Trump. There's bad in this for Trump. There's good in this for Biden. There's bad in this for Biden. So here are the numbers. Once again, this is nationally. 2024 vote preference, basically a dead heat. Amongst registered voters, Joe Biden's at 46%. Donald Trump is at 45%. Amongst likely voters, Joe Biden's at 49%. Donald Trump's at 45%. And all adults, Biden is at 44%. Trump is at 46%. So just call it a dead heat. And this is nationally. And by the way, it really doesn't matter nationally because it's done state by state. So what you really want to look at is state by state where things are at. And I think that states like New York and California are probably propping Joe Biden up nationally. And when you look at some of the swing states, you'll start to see Donald Trump leading the way. But this poll is not a state by state poll. It's a national poll. But here's what's not so good for Donald Trump. What's not so good for Donald Trump in this poll is that he's in this dead heat with Joe Biden. Even though when it comes to the issues, he leads on the issues. So they asked these voters who were polled in this ABC News poll, who do you trust on the following issues? Economy, inflation, crime and safety, protecting democracy, healthcare, the border, gun violence, U.S. world standing, abortion access, and the Israel-Hamas war. Trump wins in every one of those categories except two. The only two categories that Trump loses of the ones I just listed is healthcare by 5 points to Biden. He's 5 points better on that. And then abortion access, Biden's up by 12. But think about this. Trump is up by 14 points on the economy in terms of who the people polled trust to handle the economy. Trump's up 14 on the economy against Joe Biden, 46-32. Inflation, Trump gets the edge by 14 points, 44-30. Crime and safety, Trump's up 8, 41-33. On the border, Trump's up 17 points, 47-30. He leads on gun violence by 3. U.S. world standing, Trump's up by 7. The Israel-Hamas war, he's up by 8. He leads in all of those categories, and they're even on protecting democracy, which I don't even know what that means, but they're even on that as well. So he leads in the most important issues, economy, inflation, crime, and safety, but he's tied with Joe Biden. What does that tell you? If you're tied with Joe Biden, but you lead by double digits on the most important issues, you've got a you problem, is what you have. Like it or not. I mean, that's just reading the data for what it is. I have a guy who is up double digits on the issues that most Americans care about, crushing on the economy, on inflation, on crime and safety over his opponent, but he's dead even with the guy? Now, you could scream about, polling, and you never want to overreact to a single poll. And I'm not doing that. I'm just reading into this poll and saying, well, this poll tells me that Trump has a Trump problem, not a policy problem. He's got a Trump problem. Now, what can he do about it? Not much right now. I mean, Trump is who he is, and it's baked into the cake. But right now, the best thing he can do is just let Joe do all the talking. Lay low, do his little press conferences that he does before his, hearings in the courtroom, and that's kind of it. That's probably all he needs to really do is make this year about Joe and not about him. If he does that effectively, he's going to pull it out in places like Georgia and Arizona and Nevada and Michigan and Pennsylvania. He will. Because people clearly, based on the polling, far prefer his policies to what we've had the last 4 years. Come on, man. That's what we learn from this poll. And when you actually dig into the data, people say basically, I like the policies of Donald Trump, don't really care for him. And some of you are going to be offended by it, but don't, because that's where the people are that you need to win this election. So how do you swing those people to your side? The people who admit when it comes to policy, you did a better job. But they're people who inherently just don't like the guy. Don't be offended by it. Just figure out how to get them out on behalf of your guy. Don't rip them. Don't call them names. Oh, just a secret rhino, man. Don't do that. Just figure out how to get them out to vote for the guy. That's it. Because if you win, the rest will take care of itself. If it's truly about the American people, the country at large, turning the tide on what has been a disastrous 3 years when you look at inflation, when you look at the economy at large, when you look at the border issues, when you look at foreign policy, set the petty personal politics aside. And if it's truly about doing what is in the best interest of the country, then come together and just say, you know what? I got to get these people on my side. I don't care what it takes. It doesn't matter to me. I just need to get them out on behalf of my guy. That's got to be the attitude. As I look up in Fox News here in front of me is sharing this very poll that we're talking about right now at 7:42 on a Monday morning. 913-408-7957. And if you're Biden, his only hope here is to make the election about Trump. Like, that's where Joe Biden cannot run a campaign based on what he has done and his policies. Because his policies blow, and the American people realize this based on the polling in this ABC News poll. He has to make this really about two things: Donald Trump, the person, and abortion. That's his only hope. Even though we know abortion is a state issue now, that's his only hope, because that's where he's got people on his side. They may not like him per se, but they like Trump less, and abortion is kind of the only thing he can hang his hat on, even though it's not a federal issue at this point. So he's going to try to make it about Trump. The question is, will Donald Trump walk into his trap? Let's hope the answer is no.